G'day all, Ben here, East West. This is going to be part 9 of our series of building a charting platform using Python tkinter. So let's just jump into the code here. So here we are. This is the Jupyter notebook. The pace is going to pick up a little bit here, so I'll try my best to explain it as I go along, just so we can sort of logically put the code together. But if you don't understand, don't worry too much. The code will work. I'm just trying to make a case of explaining how it goes together. So we're going to build on what we did where we left it the last time. Was we got to the point where we'd made this little add study window. So what we're going to work on here is populating this window so that it's got some functionality and we can actually add a study into the chart. So the first thing we need to do here is we actually need to now add a couple of libraries. So those libraries will be import tkinter color chooser as color chooser. So that one's important. And then here I'm just going to import TA. You could use pandas TA if you want. You could just free calculate your indicators if you want. I just happen to pick the TA package. But pandas TA is fine. Whatever returns the values to the data frame, we'll get to that a little bit later on, but we just need some sort of technical indicator package or technical analysis package, so I'm going to use TA. Okay, now as we go on here, the global variables stay the same. The function, this first function, the fetch and display chart function, that can stay the same. So here is the function that we did for adding a study. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to uncomment the moving average study. Okay, so there is a heading here that says determine the required width and height based on the study content. I just put that in there. That's all this is really doing, because remember, it goes down to all this stuff where we're determining how big a window we need to display the information, and then we also just place the window in the center of the chart. But we just need to uncomment this first bit here, actually, and I've just realized I need to uncomment that as well. So what we're going to do here is when we add a study, we're going to bring up a study type, which is going to, in this case, to be the MA study, so this MA study is a function that we're about to write, and that's going to be inserted in the study window. So there's going to be some functions within the function, for lack of a better term. So what I'm actually going to do here first, this will probably not make a lot of sense, but as we go along, it'll tie in. So I need to make a little side function here, and I'm going to call this function, I'm going to just type in here, function for selecting colors. Just like that, and I'll just make that a markdown. So I'll just insert another cell here, and then I just need to write this little code coming up first. So yeah, I'm just going to define a function here called select color. Now this is going to take a few arguments. So the arguments we're going to put in here are color var, so there'll be a color variable, a parent window, which is going to be the study window, because that's going to be the window that we're attached to, and this function here, update callback. I'll explain a little bit more about that as we go along, but like I said, now that we're writing this function here, it's not going to make a lot of sense until you sort of tie it into the next group of functions. So this is a side function. So what we've got to do now is we want to select a variable, or set a variable called color. Okay, so this is going to use the TK color chooser that we've just imported. Okay, so that's what this is doing now. So we're going to say color equals TK color chooser dot ask color. Okay, so that is going to bring up a select color box. We're going to say the parent is the parent window. Remember, we're passing a function here, right? So it'll need a parent window, which we'll give it. The title is just simply going to be select color, and the initial color is going to be a variable here called colorvar.get. Okay, so a lot of this stuff hasn't actually happened in the code yet, but I'm just going to write this out first, and then I'll explain it as it ties back in. So what we need to do now is we just need to bring in a little if statement. So it's going to be if color, so that means that if there is been a color selected. So the line of code you just need to say is if color, so if there's been a color selected, color variable dot set, and we're going to set it to color in brackets 1. Like I said, this will make more sense down the track, and then after that we just need to do update callback like that, and open and close brackets. So that is just a tiny little function that helps us with the selecting of colors. We put it outside the main moving average function because this function will be used in other functions. It's getting a bit confusing. This will be used in functions other than the MA function. So having it on its own means we can call it no matter what indicator we're bringing up, which is going to be handy as you will see further on down the track. So all we've got to do is run that now, and that is done. Like I said, I'll explain this as it ties in as we go along. So now I'm just going to insert another cell in here, and now we're going to write the function to add the moving average. So same thing, I'm just going to give it a little heading here just so I know what's going on, because this is going to get rather large in the future. So what we need to do first here is we just need to define our MA study. And what we're going to do here is we're going to give it the study window as the argument. So you can see now how that's tying into how we're putting it into the study window. So the study window is going to be the home of the MA study function. Okay, so what we just need to do here is just do some really basic formatting and labeling and headings as we have done so before. So we'll start with this. We're just going to whack in a label called MA type label, and that's just going to be select MA type, and we'll just use a padding of 5 here because we probably just want it just a little bit tighter than what we have. And remember, all this is going to pop up in that study window box. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to create another combo box that gives us choices. So the values here we've set are simple and exponential. So you could do as many different types of moving average as you want, but just for the sake of keeping this under 15 years, I'm going to 15 years of videos. I'm going to just say simple and exponential. And the MA type is going to, the pack is going to be 5 as well. So now we're just going to put in a label asking for the MA length, so we know what type, and obviously the length of the moving average is important. So we'll just bring in that label and just give it that same padding of 5. And now we just need to bring in an entry window in the same way that we did before. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put justify equals center. So that'll just center the it's strictly a formatting thing. It'll center the words. It helps me with my OCD. So the MA length entry, we're just going to insert here. We're just going to make it 20. Okay, so when you've got like a blank entry like that, you can just give it like a standard sort of something in there. So we can just put 20 in there as a default. That's all it is, just a default. And then next what we're going to do here, this is where the new magic starts. I'll just scroll this up so you can see. We're just going to put in a label saying select MA color, okay, and we're just going to give it that padding of 5. Okay, now we're just going to start to introduce some stuff that's going to tie back into this little function that we wrote back up here. So you will see as we step along. So we're just going to set a variable here, MA color var tk.string value. The value is going to be black. So what this is doing is it's just setting all the default colors to black. So we start at black. If you want to change it to something else, go ahead. Obviously, if you're on a black background, you probably don't want that set to black. You can set it to whatever you want. So the next thing we need to do is create a label. Now what this is doing is this is creating, to demonstrate here, we're just going to say selected color label ttk.label. The study window is what we want to put it in. The background we're going to say MA color var.get. Okay, so that is going to get black. So that would insert black into there. Okay, and the width is going to be 2. So what this one is I'm just going to bring up, this is how I'm going to try to explain it a bit better. I'm going to bring up a more finished version, and I'll show you on the finished version what each line is actually producing. So I hope you can see this all right, but what this section of code has done is it's created this little black box. Okay, so that is just saying, so this is what we put in, right? We put in the select MA type, we've put in the length, which we've just defaulted to 20. Actually, that didn't, I might see if I can just I may not be able to center a combo box. So anyway, and then we're going to say this is the color that's defaulted. So this is what this does. It creates this little box that shows the default color. Okay, the next thing we have to do here is we just have to write yet another little function that's going to operate inside our moving average function. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to make a little function called update selected color. Okay, so all this is really doing is you just got to bring in this line of code. And once again, this will be something that ties in more when you see the whole thing completed. So all we're doing here is, remember we had that little black box here. So all we're saying is if the color gets changed, what this does is it will get whatever the new color that's been selected and update this color to show that. So if you had have chosen green, then all of a sudden this color will be green when we shut the choose color window, which we haven't opened as yet. But that's it. That's all we need to do for that little function. That's just going to help us down the track here. So now what we need to do is we just go back to this working example, is we're just going to bring in this choose color button, but we need to add some functionality. So when we hit this, what it's going to do is bring up the color menu. Okay, so this is like the color menu that we've brought in through that library that we imported. So this is an example of what I'm saying. So what we do here is when we choose blue and hit OK, you can see now that is blue. So that is going to be the color that. So all we're doing here is setting up the parameters, and when we hit OK, that's going to then add our selected parameters to the chart. So we need to just bring in this choose color button and add functionality to it. Okay, so we start off like the same way we have been. MA color button is TTK button. It's going to be in the study window. The text is going to be choose color, and the command is going to be a lambda function. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say select color, and that is this function we've run up here. So what we're going to say is when you press that select color button, it's going to run this function, which brings up the color chooser. Okay, so remember we needed here we needed some variables. So we're going to say select color. Okay, so this variable, this color variable, is going to be the MA color variable. Okay, and that was set here if you recall. So that would pass black into there. The parent window is going to be the study window. Okay, and then the update callback is going to be update selected color. Okay, which is this function that we've just written. So what that means is that as it you can almost imagine update callback, basically what's happening here is that when we hit OK, it's going okay. So when you hit OK, when you're done, so because this is a little bit more inbuilt, when you hit OK here, so when you change the color, when you hit OK, it's then going to run this update selected color function, which is the one that changes that little box. Okay, so that's all that's happening here. So that's how this ties in. But we will use this. The reason why we've put this outside is because we are looking for the MA color. Okay, and the colors are going to be different depending on what study we're using. So, for instance, if we're going to be using Bollinger Bands, we might be looking for the upper band color and the lower band color rather than the MA color. So it's a little bit. Maybe you could write it more efficiently, but I just think for the example that that I'm trying to show here, this is the best way to do it. And then all we need to do here now is just to put in our padding. So we're just going to use 5 once again. So that is it, except for one thing. We're going to put in this OK button. So what's going to happen here is basically, you know, if we change this to whichever setting we want, once we've got it all the way we want, we're going to hit OK, and that's going to update the chart with our new settings that we've requested for the indicator that we're trying to add. So I think I'll leave this one here. There's nothing really to run at the moment because this won't really run because it's sort of half finished, but I'm trying to keep the length of the videos down a little bit. So that's what we'll do in the next video. We're going to work on that OK button, because when we do that, we've got to start calculating some moving averages themselves. So we'll have a look at how we're going to do that. and then we'll just tie this moving average function off. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye for now.